Welcome back. The administrator of Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Abbas, has appointed 23 local government administrators in the state, as well as new board for the State Electoral Commission. In a statement by the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Bibia Warika, the former rector of the Port Harcourt Polytechnic, Dr. Sam Kalagbo, and former chairman of the Rivers State Civil Service Commission, Dr. Clifford Dundu, Walter among the 23 persons appointed as LGA administrators. Dr. Michael Ekpai Ode is appointed as chairman of the resident of the State Electoral Commission. Other members of the commission include Lasasi Lene Tobira, Professor Otto Wafo, Professor Godfrey Nwoke Mbudioga, Professor Dame Joyce Akaninwo, and Dr. Mrs. Oli Bruce and Professor Chidi Halliday. So that's the situation in Rivers State. We're being joined on the program by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Lawrence Okojaja. Mr. Okojaja, thank you so much for coming on the program. Mr. Okojaja, I want to be sure you can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, fantastic. So Rivers is literally a state of administrators as we speak. But I want to go back to when that proclamation was made, the state of emergency. I want to read briefly what the president has said in appointing the Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, I should say. He said, in the meantime, I hereby nominate Vice Admiral Ibokete Abbas, retired as administrator, to take charge of the affairs of the state in the interest of the good people of Rivers State. For the avoidance of doubt, this declaration does not affect the judicial arm of Rivers State, which shall continue to function in accordance with their constitutional mandate. He now added to say the administrator will not make any new laws. He will, however, be free to formulate regulations as may be found necessary to do his job. But such regulations will need to be considered and approved by FEC and promulgated by the president for the state. My key word of interest, the key interest for me is the word interest of the state. With this development and this move, is this in the interest of Rivers State?
Absolutely not. It is not in the interest of Rivers State. It is not even in the interest of Nigerians, because it seems that this is an army of occupation. He's going beyond his brief. I have before me the proclamation that was made on the 18th of March. And that proclamation by Article 3 thereof says that there shall be a regulation regulating the conduct of the administrator from time to time as may be made by the president. Article 3 is clear. Presently, the president has not made any regulation authorizing what has happened or what is happening in the state. And we are seeing a whole lot of this happening, the dismantling of all political structures by the administrators, setting up a new one. He is absolutely going beyond his brief.
So at the end of the day, there's even the debate. Some of us are of the view that the president doesn't have the constitutional powers to, dismantle constitutional elected officials, the local government, the governor and the House of Assembly. But that's a subject before the Supreme Court, because if you look at the Constitution in Section 1, subsection 2, it's very clear on how Nigeria will be governed, and to that effect, there's no such thing as sole administrator. But we'll leave that to the Supreme Court to make a decision. But in the eyes of the law, as you've alluded to in all of this, in the eyes of the law, how did his leadership, let me use the word his leadership, because it's not necessarily an administration, he wasn't voted, he's just there to do the administrative work he's there to do. In the eyes of the law, where does he have the latitude to begin to encroach into spaces like the Electoral Commission? Is it that the sole administrator now will now have to conduct local government election? And what does the law say to that effect? Let's talk about legalese.
Now, To answer your question, it does not derive any powers from any law to, first of all, dismantle the democratic institutions that has been set up by the previous by the government. Secondly, it does not have any backing of the law to set up and appoint sole administrators, as it termed it, of the local government. So what he is doing so outside of the law. Let me inform you that as at yesterday, the Federal High Court here in Port Harcourt granted an interim injunction against the setting up of any form of administrator to administer the local government, or even reconstituting the RESEC. When we heard that he was about going to do that, all of us said, within the legal circle and the political circle, said, oh, no, that is beyond his brief. But here we are, it has come to pass. He has no basis for doing what he is doing. And even what he is doing is even against the Supreme Court decision that says that it is only a democratically elected individuals that can administer the local governments. And that was why when the governor came back after the Supreme Court decision, he had to relieve, so to speak, all the local government chairmen and councillors of their position. He had to appeal to them. He had to appeal to them to please, in the interest of peace, please, let's abide what the Supreme Court has said. And of all of them, without exception, had to obey the Supreme Court decision. But here we are. After the Supreme Court had made that decision, we now have a situation where a sole administrator, which in the first place ought not to be sitting where he's sitting now, is going ahead to appoint sole administrators. And these are sole administrators and the new RESEC members he has appointed are the ones to midwife election into the various councils. This is highly unacceptable. This is undemocratic. This will not engender peace in Rivers State. It is happening in Rivers State today. We don't know in which other state it can happen tomorrow.
All right, Senior Advocate. Just a moment.
Yeah.
I have a lot of follow-up questions within the time we have of some of the activities of the sole administrator since he took over and what he was meant to do in the first place. But we will be going over to Abuja for the official inauguration of the Guzape Mall by the Minister of State for the FCT, which is taking place right now. But that will be only on our DSTV platform. The program continues on all other platforms.
Thank you.
Senior Advocate, just a few things I want to find out from you. And that has to do with when he was appointed. Let's even admit without conceding to say he was appointed and we overlook a couple of things. What was he meant to do within the time frame he had?
All right. Within the time frame he has, even though the Rivers people were all aggrieved and taken aback that a sole administrator should be appointed after the president had directed, so to speak, that PANDEF, that is some elders from the Rivers and Niger Delta extraction, should go and settle this matter. The next thing we heard was the appointment of sole administrator as creator. Be that as it may, we swallowed it. We tried to maintain peace. All that he was supposed to do is to see for himself whether, one, there has been a breakdown of law and order that necessitated the president in the first place to declare a state of emergency. If the answer is in the affirmative, his position would have been to ensure that peace is restored to Rivers State. But he came, even by what he had said, Rivers State is peaceful, people are going about their legitimate business. So he had no reason to deviate even from maintaining the peace and ensuring that the democratic institutions are functioning without molestation, to going to dismantle them
All
and
right.
setting up a new one.
All right, senior advocate. So my question will be again. Now I'm just reading that part of the sweeping decisions that are being made, literally, is governing. In my sense of what I'm saying here, Civil Service Commission, Local Government Service Commission, and all of that. Um,
Yes.
if from all of this, does did he have anything to do with him having? Will his work be affected in any shape or form if he doesn't suspend all political appointees and all of this suspension is done and reappointment is done, albeit in the interim? Would it have affected the effectiveness of him being a sole administrator as appointed by the president?
It will not have affected him in any way. It will not have affected him in any way. Don't forget that it is Rivers people that are manning those positions. Now it is some other Rivers people that are being appointed to that position. So it wouldn't have affected his position in any way. What seems to be happening is to pull the rug from the legitimate government and perhaps hand over the reins of government to a shadow government, as I may call it.
Okay.
That is what is happening. It wouldn't have affected his work in any way.
All right, Leonard Silk. In closing, so it appears we have moved from a contentious presidential discretionary latitude overreach to an issue that has stoked debate around political permutation. Because there are people that feel that I've been issued this was all politics. I know you're a lawyer, a member of the inner bar, but do you see this? Is there credence to all of this, or these are just speculations?
I will say that given the situation we were in River State, there was peace, order, and good governance in River State. Yes, there was a political disagreement here and there, which always happen in a political space. But there was no reason in the first place to have declared a state of emergency. Now, what seems to be happening, like I said earlier, is to take the political reign from a sitting governor, perhaps to someone else through the back door. What they cannot get through the front door, they are trying to achieve it through the proclamation that has been made
Okay.
by the president and the actions of the sole administrator, which
Okay.
I see as an occupation force.
Senior advocates, of course, this is going to be an ongoing conversation because I'm sure more actions will be taken by the sole administrator. We have not even gotten to the part of the
Yeah.
budget presentation, maybe to the National Assembly, and so many things that is turning the Constitution on its head at the end of the day. But we must thank you for coming on the program. Mr. Lawrence Okojaja, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We wish Rivers State well and Nigeria well. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.